Story 1. AIO, my fiancé asked me not to wear white to our wedding. Have you ever seen I Love a Mama's Boy? Well, that's my life, basically. I, 27F, have been with my fiancé John, 28F, since high school. We dated and broke up because his mother Debbie, 53F, convinced him we were too young to be in love. We broke up and went to college. During my sophomore year, we started talking on socials again. He apologized and said he missed me. We got back together. Cue the waterworks. Debbie literally cried the first time she saw we were back together and told John that I have done witchcraft on him. I've always respected Debbie out of respect for my mother and upbringing. I was not raised to go back and forth with my elders, but she definitely abuses that. Since John and I decided to get back together, she has tried to hook him up with women from her church, her job, and even asks her friends for their daughters to give it a shot. John denies all of them, and Debbie says that I'm controlling. John has told her to stop, but not in a way I feel she gets the point. Anyway, 3 months ago, John proposed. Deb didn't come to the engagement party. Cool. She didn't come to the family dinner we had so both sides could meet. Cool. John's dad came and apologized for his ex's behavior. He left her when John graduated HS. I told him don't worry about it. The problems really began when John decided to confront his mother about how she's behaving toward our whole engagement. This turned on the light bulb in his brain, as he's always tried to ignore it and tell me to ignore her. She gave him a sob story about how she got pregnant with him before marriage and never really got to have a wedding, and this is triggering her. She had a shotgun wedding at the courthouse. He asked her what she needed to feel comfortable, and she responded that if she wore white and I wore a soft pink or lavender, she would feel comfortable. My fiancé, for some reason though, this was a fair compromise. He also said, not asked, that his mom could walk me down the aisle so she can get her moment in her dress. I told him absolutely not, and we got into an argument about it. I told him that it's insane that he would argue with me to defend his mom's honor, but wouldn't do the same the other way around. He accused me of being petty and selfish. It was bad. We both have agreed to cool off, but by how heated it got, I could tell we both almost agreed to call it off. Now we're in a weird space, and I love John, but now see how much he lets her impact our life. I just imagine her sitting at home with this evil grin, knowing she's ruining my relationship with John and he's just putty in her hands. I think I should just call off the wedding, AIO, or is it just a color? Or is it? Top comments. Ducky's mama. This isn't about a dress color. It's about control and possibly a dash of humiliation. Do you really want to put down roots, start a family, with a man willing to bend backwards for his mommy to the point of telling his bride she can't wear white, but his mom gets the glory? I shudder to think what having kids with this man would look like. Hallucinogenic. He can marry his mother in her white dress then. What an absolutely unhinged request. Any self-respecting man would be appalled to even bring this to his intended bride. Anon466544. You're not overreacting, but do you want a husband who will prioritize his mother's feelings over yours? Because this will not change after you get married. This is him showing you his priorities. Update #1 on December 24th, 12. Hey everyone! Not sure if this is the update everyone wanted, but this is what happened since my last post. I laid out a couple of talking points that I couldn't articulate over the rage. I met up with John after work at home. I was at the gym letting off steam. We spoke on everything and made plans to speak to his mother. John came home remorseful. He told me he was anxious about it and brought it up to a co-worker friend about how I don't want to comprise. Apparently his friend, God bless his soul, went off on him about him being cringy. This angered me. So when I say it, it's a problem, but another man tells you and now you see the other side. I brought up my talking points. Him being easily being manipulated. This was also proved when I said he would listen to whatever another man said before his partner. Even though his friend agreed with me, it hurt that he didn't listen to me. His mom going out of her way to break us up with this silly request. He was way more open to this theory now, knowing how cringe he looks, even telling this situation to someone else. I compared it to a father removing a bride's wedding garter. He got the point. Him agreeing to his mom's crazy request before even talking to me. He claimed he didn't, that he told her he'll see how I feel about it and just brought it up to me. I asked why did he not see that his mother walking down the aisle on his wedding day was extremely creepy. He said it's just a dress in his eyes. He just didn't want his mom to miss the wedding. I told him there will be no wedding if he doesn't straighten up. He said he understood. Me showing him how blatantly obvious it was she hates me. She didn't even ask to wear white alongside me, which is still weird, but that I don't wear white at all, as if I'm some impure whore. Thanks, Reddit, because I wasn't even thinking of that one. He said he didn't see it that way. He just knew she hasn't been showing up because she said, seeing me in white hurts her. So I said, do you not hear your own mom saying she wants to be the bride herself? That she can't stand it being me? It finally looked like a ding went off in his head. Me asking him what role would she play in our wedding, childbirth, Mother's Day, and everything to come. Would I always come second place? He assured me I wouldn't, and he realizes how bad he fucked up. He was just trying to keep the peace. I asked by always making her happy and making me miserable. I refused to live my life this way. He agreed and said he was sorry and that he wouldn't want me to be miserable. We have no children yet, but we created a plan on how to deal with any big milestone. She won't be there for anything unless I'm comfortable with it, and I won't be unless she does a 180. I asked what did his mom say to change his mind, and you all guessed it, she cried. She cried about how her baby was getting taken away from her, how she never got her wedding, how his dad left her and she was alone and had no one else, that she felt sick and just wanted to experience a real wedding before she dies. She is perfectly healthy unless there's something she hasn't told us. Elle just told him if that was enough to manipulate him, what's to say he won't turn on me again? He said his friend and dad talked sense into him about how he was going to lose me. I told him today was the last straw for me. He had to do 4 things to keep me engaged to him if he even cared to. Go LC with his mom and do not let her make any decisions on our wedding, which will be postponed another year to see if he actually sticks to his word. He has to go to counseling, individually and couples counseling. He has to speak to his mom with me present about her behavior toward me because every time he goes by himself, he comes back with a reason why he left it alone. He must create strong boundaries and learn to uphold them. He agreed. Then came the bad part. I showed him the post. I felt so bad as he read everyone rip him to shreds in the comments. I could see how uncomfortable he was as he read how much of a mama's boy he was and other things about his mom. He was hurt that I agreed that I should leave in some comments. He read for a few minutes until he saw someone call him a spineless "see you next Tuesday" and then gave my phone back. He said it was really harsh, but I had to show him how crazy the situation sounded even if it was just to keep the peace on a surface level. Him reading the post was icing on the cake. He said he saw everyone telling me to leave, and his heart physically started hurting knowing that he deserved it. We called his dad, who I'm no longer calling future FIL, because I will call this wedding off tomorrow if he doesn't have my back when we speak to his mom. John's dad, Dan, who I'll name since he's in big part of this update. Dan also read John the Riot Act again. He was relieved John decided to get his act together. We agreed to go to Deb's house tomorrow with Dan and John's aunt. My dad is tagging along. John has said he will tell his mother that she can't under any circumstances make our wedding about her. He also said if she does cry or try to guilt-trip him, he will tell her he's going NC. I feel terrible as getting a man to stop talking to his mother isn't something I ever thought I even wanted. I doubt Debbie will come around, especially not tomorrow with all of us against her. I don't know if John will backtrack as soon as he gets there. I have explained if he doesn't grow a spine, I'm leaving. He either can marry me or marry his mom. But that's my ultimatum. He said he chooses me. We'll see, I guess. This all should make me happy, but I still feel icky. I'll update tomorrow after we all talk to Debbie. Update hash 2. Final update. December 13th, 24. Hey everyone, I'm back with the last update. This is a bit long, so buckle up. Some people reach to disrespect me. I honestly don't care if you don't believe my story or find me annoying, but messaging me calling me names, being disrespectful and/or saying I shouldn't wear white to my own wedding is classless. I won't respond, and I genuinely hope you all get the help you need for whatever trauma makes you that much of an angry person. To all the people who have reached out with positive vibes and advice, thank you so much, you cutie patooties. Anyway, John and I met up after work. and we headed to pick up Dan. John's aunt couldn't make it. My dad was meeting us there. I had really bad anxiety. I told Dan and Dad they should give us a few before knocking so she doesn't feel ambushed. They agreed. Here's the part everyone was waiting for. We get to Debbie's. My heart feels like I'm going up the world's tallest roller coaster slowly. John is quiet. We get there and he gives her a firm but respectful, "Hey, Mom." We sit down and John tells her we came to talk to her. She asked, "What's wrong?" John got right into it. He bluntly said to her that her actions toward me for years have been petty. Her not showing up for any of our wedding events was unacceptable to him. He flat out asked her why does she have a problem with me. I genuinely thought he was going to start with the dress situation. He went for the root of it all. Debbie acted like she had no idea what he was talking about. She has actively tried to get him to cheat to leave me for other women, but in that moment was shocked and doesn't know where this was coming from. She said she has no problems with me and loves me like a daughter. She looked at me like she expected me to talk, but like I said to you all, I wanted to see what John had to say. He asked her to be honest and named all the times he's recalled that she insulted me to my face and behind my back. He mentioned she also tells him he could do better every time I'm not around. This was news to me, but am I shocked? No. Deb was livid. She genuinely couldn't believe he outed her like that. She starts going off on him, calling him disrespectful and saying he was disrespecting his own mother for an outsider. She kept saying, "I know she made you do this. I know she's the one making you disrespect me like this." John was trying to reason with her and get her to calm down. I text Dan and my dad to come in. Once they were inside, Deb became a different person. She was startled as she wasn't expecting them, and then all of the things she was just saying went out of the window. She turned to Dan and my dad and said John walked in and just started yelling at her because of me. My dad looked at me and I shook my head no. Once Dan and Dad got in, everything was calmer for a little while. She went back to denying she didn't like me. They all told her that it was obvious, that the dress request was shameful of her. She immediately replied, "It's shameful that I won't let her son spend time with her." John said that's not true. At this point, I'm burning inside. I wanted to correct all of her inaccuracies, but I stood quiet. John asked her what's the real issue with OP. Deb starts saying how she knew I was going to be an issue since we were in HS. She said that once John got with me, his grades started dropping, which isn't true. That he stopped making time for family. Also not true. That he once didn't show up to celebrate Mother's Day with her a few times because of my birthday. My birthday is in April, Mother's Day is in May. That once we got back together, he forgot about her completely because I made him abandon her. He goes to her house minimum 3x a week. She said the fact that we had the engagement party without checking how she felt about it was wrong and all the evidence she needed to see what kind of woman I am. My dad pointed out that she didn't pay for the engagement dinner to have any input on it. Dan asked her was she thinking asking to wear white at our wedding? Why is she so hungry for attention? Her face got red and she went off. She told Dan maybe if he would have properly married her and gave a real wedding, she wouldn't feel left out. Dan straight up called bullshit and said that she didn't want to have a real wedding even though he tried to convince her. The reason being that her mother told her pregnant brides are tacky. She started crying. I honestly felt bad for Debbie here. Mothers, be nice to your daughters or you'll create Debbies. My dad got everyone to calm down. John finally spoke again and told his mom that he can't keep defending her when she won't even try to respect me. That for his sanity and our relationship, he's going LC. Deb kept crying and said that John can't leave her for dead. She's the only mother he'll ever have. Mothers are forever. Wives are not. I'm not even his wife yet, and I'm already tearing apart the family. He kept going. He told her that we are going to get married. She can't respect me or stop crossing boundaries. She'll get cut off completely, that his visits are dropping down to 1 every 2 weeks and that she needs to call less. She started going off. She knew it. I'm doing something to him. What did I do to her son? I'm a manipulator and a problem. She told my dad he raised a demon. My dad shot back at her to watch her mouth. John kept shouting, "Mom, stop! Mom, stop!" but she kept screaming and then she started hyperventilating. Whoever called it, you might be able to see the future. She was gripping John's arm, saying she can't breathe. This was when I said to myself, oh no, he's about to flip-flop. He looked at me, and I know he knew what I was thinking. John got her a cup of water, then asked his dad if he could make sure his mom was okay, and asked my dad to take Dan home. Dan and Dad agreed, and his mom started crying louder. She literally screamed, "I can't breathe," as we walked out so he could hear her. I felt fucking terrible, and I finally spoke. I told John I'm sorry, and I understand if he felt bad. He said he knew she was faking it, but his instincts wanted to run over and make sure she was okay. I asked, "Are you?" He said no, but he looked really sad about it. My dad walked out behind us. My dad has never seen this side of Deb. Neither have I. She's always been catty or shady toward me, but this was insane. My dad straight up told John that his mom needed help with her mental health. John said he's going to talk to his aunt about getting her help. We went home and John cried. He said he cried because he watched his mom villainize him and tell others that he just walked in and verbally abused her. He said it reminded him of the times he would to fight with his dad because his mom would say Dan would just come from work and yell at her for no reason. I guess it was déjà vu for him. He was silent after she said that, so I do believe it struck a nerve with him. He decided to go NC for now. I did ask him if he was okay with me posting this part, and he said yes. Before we went to Deb's house, I called a couple of counselors in our area to check availability, and our first couples therapy session is next month. It's a little while away. He called his provider today to check for a therapist within his insurance and got an appointment for himself for the 23rd. The ball is rolling, and John seems like he's on the same page as me. I know this is killing him, though. Dan called us and let us know he got Deb to calm down. He said he spoke to her as best as he could about her harming her own relationship with John, but she didn't want to hear it. Thank you, Reddit. I really didn't expect this to blow up like this. The advice and well wishes I got from this was so overwhelming in a great way. While I should be happy, something about it all just makes me feel down. I hope that Debbie gets better and we can one day have her in our lives. Something about that comment about her mother made me hurt for little Debbie. Hopefully one day I'll get to hear her stories. Now I'm going back to my regular life, and hopefully I won't ever have a dramatic update for you guys ever again. Story 2. My husband, 32M, is upset that I, 31F, don't look more like a mom. Dan and I have been married for 3 years, and 8 months ago welcomed our amazing son into the world. He was very planned and wanted, and motherhood had been transformative for me. I was able to take 4.5 months maternity leave before going back to work. Without going into too many details, we both work white-collar jobs that require professional attire. A normal workday look for me is a skirt or pair of slacks, a silk blouse, pumps or boots depending on the weather, but always with a heel because I'm 5'0". Maybe a blazer if I have a big meeting. Dan wears a suit almost every day. I also style my hair and do some makeup for work every day. This is what I wore before our son was born, and what I continue to wear. Dan and I are pretty even in sharing parenting duties. I tend to take mornings because I'm more of a morning person than Dan. A normal morning for me starts early. Short workout, shower, get baby up, get ready, get baby ready, and baby off to Dan because the daycare is on Dan's way to work. I'm normally dressed at the tail end of this process, but I keep my robe on over my clothes in case my son wants to give my outfit something to remember him by on our way out the door. For the last month or so, Dan has been more irritable than normal in the morning. There have been side comments if he gets up and I'm drying my hair or getting dressed. Basically, if I'm not 100% focused on my son in the AM. Our son is happy playing and supervised, so I just chalked it up to morning moodiness, but it's been getting worse. Last night I brought it up in what I thought was a neutral, non-confrontational way. Basically, his answer was this. His mom was 100% a mom after her kids were born. She gained a fair amount of weight after she had kids and never tried to lose it. She wore sweatpants every day and works a job where she wears a uniform, so if she wasn't in her work uniform, she was in sweats and a shirt. She never did her hair or makeup. Her entire identity was being a mom, and she shared with me how hard it was to watch her kids start their own lives. Dan thinks I don't care about our son as much as he does since I worked on losing the baby weight, and still put effort into my appearance. I feel like keeping this part of my identity actually helps me be a better mother. I love my son, but I'm still me, and I still have the things I like to do. Dressing well, my identity actually helps me be a better mother. I love my son, but I'm still me, and I still have the things I like to do. Dressing well, blowing out my hair, and doing my makeup are therapeutic to me. Now that being said, my son is my life, and if I knew that not doing those things but guarantee him a happy, healthy life, I would stop immediately. I told Dan that my son and I have our morning routine and he gets lots of time and attention before I go to the office. Dan said he wasn't looking to fight, but he just wanted me to think about my priorities and my time management. Is it normal for new moms to totally sacrifice all the things you like to do? Is this a sign of something deeper I need to address with my husband? TLDR. My husband thinks because I take my time to get ready every morning, I'm not as good of a mother as it could be. Relevant comment? Spludge X. Why the hell does he care that much about your appearance if it doesn't actually directly affect your son's life? I am with you on this one. If it doesn't make a difference to how your son is treated, why can't you treat yourself and do your makeup, etc.? It's not like you're spending all that time and ignoring your son. I don't really get why he equates how someone looks with how good of a mother they are. Even if his mom was how you described, there are so many others who are good mothers but also take care of themselves. If it's not affecting your son, I don't see why you would need to change what you're doing. OP. Part of my job is sales and client service based. I feel like I have to look put together because that's what they expect. I didn't think it impacted my parenting. McHugh 76. He should stop projecting his views of motherhood and memories of his own mom onto you. It's inaccurate and just a little creepy. It sounds like you're spending time with your kid, so he has nothing to complain about. I can't even begin to attempt the amount of logical gymnastics that would get me to think that dressing like a slob means you somehow love your kid more. Yeah. It's basically that any time I spend doing stuff for myself is time that our son isn't the center of attention. But I am paying attention to our son. He's never neglected, and if I had to choose between straightening my hair and making my son feel better, my son wins without a second thought. My husband, 32 per M, is upset that I, 31 per F, don't look more like a mom, part due May 15th, 2016, 10 days later. I had no idea my post would get so much attention. There was a lot of really solid advice and one creepy PM warning me that by dressing in business attire and wearing lipstick and heel, I was being overly sexual around my child, and that would turn my son into a serial killer. Stay gold Reddit. A couple of clarifying points. My mill did work when my husband was growing up. She just did not have an office job. She works in a medical field and wears scrubs every day. When she's not in scrubs, she's in sweatpants. Seriously. For our wedding, his family started a pool about whether or not she would wear sweats to the wedding. I did not suddenly get sexy after my son was born. I was slightly overweight before my son was born, and I'm back to my pre-baby slightly overweight shape. Now the update. Dan and I went out without our son so we could talk. I told him that I was confused by his comment and I wanted to talk about it. I asked him if he could name specific things about the morning routine that made him feel as though our son was neglected. I offered to switch shifts, so to speak, though our son should have more AM parent time. To make a long and confusing conversation short, Dan's confused by the fact that I got over my postpartum depression and am back to normal now. For some context, my PPD never made me question whether or not I loved my son or made me feel like we never should have had him. My PPD made me feel like I was constantly failing my son, that I wasn't good enough to be his mom, and that he deserved better. There were a few times I broke down and started crying and would tell Dan that he was so much better at being a parent than I was, and that our son didn't deserve to have a shitty mom like me. Luckily, I have an amazing DR who recognized that this wasn't just baby blues and helped me get the help I needed. It could have been much worse. Basically, Dan only felt like a good parent when I was failing and telling him that I was terrible at it. Now that I'm doing better, he no longer feels like a good dad. It's shitty, but we're staring couple counseling. I'm continuing with the counseling I started for my PPD, and Dan's going to see someone too. We're going to figure it out. And I'm still going to wear heels to work even though it's going to turn my son into an axe murderer. TLDR. My husband felt inadequate once I dealt with my postpartum issues and tried to undermine me to feel better. We're getting counseling and my baby is going to be a serial killer. Edit words are hard. Story 3. How do I, 25F, repair my relationship with my boyfriend, 25M, and his family after what I suggested to his sister, 19F? So I've been in a relationship with my boyfriend, who we'll call G, for about 2 years. He has 3 younger siblings, M, 23M, A, 21M, and T, 19F. All of them are still in college and still live at home with their mom, 55F, and dad, 55M, while my boyfriend and I rent an apartment. This summer, they will be celebrating their 30th wedding anniversary in France, where they had their wedding. They plan on getting first-class tickets, a high-end hotel, etc. One night, G and I were supposed to have dinner with his family. While we were at their house, T mentioned how excited she was for this summer and all the things they plan to do in France. As this is an anniversary trip for her parents, I suggested to T she could do her parents a solid and maybe stay back home and out of their hair to give her parents time away from their kids this summer. Or she could maybe pay her own way so her parents could save money. T asked me why she'd give up a trip to France, and I told her it would be a nice gesture for her parents' anniversary. I kept trying to tell her how nice it would be and how her parents would probably thank her for giving them space. At some point, M interrupted us and told me to stop meddling in family affairs, that I was overstepping, and to either apologize for pressuring T or to leave the house. I told him I didn't mean to make anyone upset. But when their dad came into the room and asked them what was wrong, they told him everything. He then asked me to leave his house and said I probably shouldn't come back anytime soon because I was overstepping, and he found it rude that I was making up a problem and pressuring T to solve it. Me and G went back to our apartment, and we haven't been speaking. Where do I go from here? Edit for more info. Info. The others are invited, but they're older, so I assume they can just go do their own thing. Info. I'm not obsessed with their financial situation. I just think it's important that T starts making money on her own so she can value it more. She's used to getting her hair, nails, and sometimes makeup done and paid for. Not to mention how much products she buys for her hair and sanitary products. It'll hit her hard how much this stuff costs when she's older, so why not start learning that now? Relevant comma. This comment has been downvoted. Sometimes after certain situations or actions, people do a bit of self-reflection. Seems to me that is what his OP is doing. OP said sorry, she was asked to leave. I don't know what OP has to let go of OP from her previous comments, appears to stand by her thought process, and if what she wrote was true, and I have no reason to believe otherwise, then she made a suggests with the best intentions. I can't fault her, I'd be aggrieved too. Yes, I'm tired of apologizing for making suggestions. Me and G had talked about wanting getting married in the future, and I feel like he's the one. He is also close to his family. How am I supposed to have a healthy relationship with them and give my opinions if they're always shooting me down? Why was it so important to you to bring this up to her, and why push it? You say you've given so many apologies. Can you give an example? Who are you to decide how they should spend their money? My boyfriend told me about how his parents plan on putting their home in their kids' names so they can sell it and split the earnings between the 4 of them when they're about kick the bucket. I told him he shouldn't rely on his parents to give him money. So if they do end up selling the house, I suggested that they put all of that money into an account for their parents so they can live out their last years comfortably. Update. How do I, 25F, repair my relationship with my boyfriend, 25M, and his family after what I suggested to his sister, 19F, posted December 14th, 2024. Last night, me and my G had a long and serious talk about my comments at the dinner, along with some of my past comments. He told me while in my family refusing a free trip when you are invited may be seen as noble. In his family, refusing a free trip is seen as stupid. In my family, if someone offers to pay for you, you should always decline no matter what. My parents made me work all throughout high school and always told me I'd have to get a scholarship to help pay for college because they weren't going to do it. It is also a courtesy in my family to not expect help with finances no matter how tough it may get, to only eat one serving at dinner gatherings, to always pay your own way, and we often voice our opinions no matter what they are. He then went into discussing the trip to France. His mother has extended family who live there, so this will not be the first or last time they all go. It will be the first time they explore the area where even if T wasn't old enough to go off on her own or didn't know her way around or the language, she'd be just fine. And if his mom and dad wanted alone time, she'd be just fine on her own, even if they didn't have family there. When me and G first started dating and we were talking about our family history, he told me about how his maternal great-great-grandparents moved to America from France. I was under the impression that everyone from his mother's extended family moved, not just the great-great-parents and their children. Apparently his mother thought my behavior was because I didn't feel welcome by them, and the dinner was to invite me on the France trip as a sort of peace offering. However, after his father caught me trying to sway T, he had enough and decided he couldn't take it anymore no matter what his wife says. He will not tolerate me being around the rest of the family or in their home any longer. This came as a shock to the family as his dad doesn't speak much and is usually calm and composed. My boyfriend also showed me his photos from his parents' wedding. It looked like one of the most fairy tale-like weddings I'd ever seen. It was held at Chateau Chalin, and he explained how they plan on renting the space again and flying all of their extended out to celebrate with them because they want to celebrate with everybody and will take time for themselves later on in the summer. I also teared up listening to how his parents met. After graduating high school, his mother spent the summer in France with her family, while his dad was visiting along with his older brother. His dad had struggled with cancer nearly his entire life up to that point, and it was supposed to be his dad's last trip before he let himself go because he was tired of all of it. One morning, while eating alone at a cafe, he recognized her as the most beautiful girl he's ever seen, who spent her time helping out her family with their restaurant, running it like it was the Navy, someone who wasn't afraid to call customers out when they were being unreasonable or just downright rude, and someone who knew exactly what she wanted and how to get it. The complete opposite of him. They spent the day together, which inspired his father to continue his cancer treatment, accomplish his goals, and start taking life more seriously so he could be by her side for as long as she'd have him. His parents always told him and his siblings the only thing in life they value more than each other are their children, and they want to make sure if life ever gets hard for them, they have something to fall back on. He told me he'd be moving back in with his parents until he can find a new apartment. He also revoked my invitation to their family Christmas trip to Aspen, which we were supposed to be leaving for tonight. I feel like I'm in a Darman video right now. What the F asterisk CK. On another note, my friend saw my initial post and gave me an intervention. I will be attending therapy for the foreseeable future. May update when I unpack what's wrong with me. Edit for info. Info. People seems to be confused. When I say his father recognized his mother in France, I mean that literally, as they are from the same hometown. Info. Some people also think I'm saying love cured his father's cancer. I was told that it was what made him continue treatment. That's all I was told. Info. I've also gotten comments about the years of the Chateau Chalin becoming a wedding venue and the wedding not making sense. Unless I'm misremembering something, I remember him saying they were married there. Maybe I'm mixing up the locations when he was talking about the wedding venue and the wedding anniversary venue. Story 4. Aida for ending a work friendship over a misunderstanding? I'll try to keep this short. I've been working at a job for a few months, and while I generally got along with everyone except Paul, fuck you, Paul. However, one guy, calling him Ben, recognized an anime keychain I had, and we bonded over that, and he kinda became my work friend. We hung out on breaks and after work, brought each other food and shit like that. Things were cool. However, eventually, coworkers started teasing us in a friendly way about how we were a cute couple and asking when the wedding was. Here's the thing. I'm lesbian, and Ben for sure knew that, as at several points I told him about how weird it was between me and my siblings after I came out, and he had even met a girl I was seeing. I just let stuff slide because I figured since I'm gay he'd know I wasn't into him. Fast forward after a while, I'm at a local anime convention, and I see a figure of his favorite character. It's pretty pricey, but since his birthday was coming up, I figured no big deal. The time comes for me to give it to him, and I expect him to be overjoyed, but he looked almost sad. I asked him what was wrong, and he basically gave me some stuff like he wanted to be just friends, and he wasn't into me like that. Upon me questioning, I found out he meant romantically. I was confused, but at the time I just reminded him I'm gay and had no interest in him like that either. He was relieved, and I thought we were cool, but the more I thought about it and let it sit, the more weirded out I got by the whole thing. He knew I was gay, like there was really no room for confusion outside of taking the coworker teasing seriously, but the thought of that annoyed me. It made me doubt a lot, like, had he been taking everything I had done for him that way? Since then, I have, for lack of better term, emotionally ghosted him. If he messages me, I'll reply, but I'll be very flat in my responses, single-word replies. I take my lunches with other people and avoid him unless it's for work. At one point, he asked what happened to our friendship, to which I responded, "Sorry, I'm just not into you like that," which was admittedly really petty, but I feel like either he was ignoring me being gay to give himself an ego boost of thinking I was into him, or just never cared. I just want to know if I'm an asshole for not wanting to continue the friendship after that, even if he didn't mean to hurt me. Edit. Going to talk to him about it next shift. We share about why I'm not comfortable being his friend. Expect an update soon. Verdict, not the asshole. Relevant comment. Can't stop. Want stop 83. NTA, I'm super confused why he thought a lesbian wanted to date him. Is he confused on the difference between a lesbian and a bisexual? I'm not sure it's so serious and offensive that you need to end the friendship entirely, but that's totally up to you based on how you feel about the situation. Maybe you should talk to him about why the fuck he would think that. Get some closure on the situation, perhaps. OP. To explain it made me feel like he was ignoring major aspects of who I am for whatever reason. So I'm kind of confused as to who he thought he was friends with. Like when I was with my now ex-girlfriend, was he still thinking I was into him? It just makes the whole thing weird. I might talk to him just to get some answers, but I can't see myself hanging out with him anymore. OP clarifies if the friend knew she was a lesbian. 1. The friend witnessed it. It was a girl, we were intimate, we were affectionate, we kissed in public, he saw it numerous times, but we were super casual. 2. OP told him the friend. I said I was lesbian once, I shouldn't have to keep clarifying it to make sure he doesn't get confused. Update, November 12th, 2019. I texted him back telling him I wanted to talk to him about what happened, and we agreed to meet up at work the following Monday. Monday rolls around and he's a no-show, decided not to hold this against him, and we reschedule for Tuesday. Tuesday he shows up and we sit down to talk. I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to just start talking about the recent Attack on Titan chapter, but I don't want him to think everything is fine only to pull the rug out. So I flat out told him everything, meaning that I am gay and how he acted really hurt me. All he said to that was, "Well, it shouldn't have." I showed him the thread and let him read through all of your comments, even the ones that disagreed with me. He scoffed a few times, which almost set me off, but I was determined to earn that retroactive NTA judgment, so I held back. After he was done, he handed me my phone and said a very half-assed "sorry," then walked away. I assumed that was that and hoped I gave him closure or whatever, but he didn't seem to really want to apologize or rekindle the friendship, and TBH neither did I, so I assumed that was the end. Until 2 days later, when I was called into my boss's office because he decided to tell the HR department I was posting all of this online. I was asked to show the thread, which I complied with, and he read through it himself. He then told me to leave the room. I'm unsure what was said during this time, but I did hear ex-friend raising his voice a few times. Afterwards, he exits the room, glares at me, and I'm called back in. I get grilled about the whole situation. Mainly he's asking me exactly what happened. I answer everything honestly. After I retell everything he told me, there was nothing identifying about the company or ex-friend's identity, so I was in the clear, but he mentioned if I felt that this might escalate into a hostile work environment, I should bring it up now since HR is already involved. I decline. He thanks me and tells us both to get back to work. The next day I come in to find that figure I had gotten him on my desk. Oh, well, I guess I can return it or gift it to someone else. IDK. Story 5. Aida for being okay with my parents and family not attending my wedding because they won't accept my friend. I, 28F, am marrying my fiancé, 32M, in March. I was in my parents' home recently, and I was telling them about our wedding party, which is going to include a male friend of mine as a groomsman. For some background, this male friend, we'll call him Stephen, went to high school with me and is a post-op trans man. My fiancé said he'd love to have Stephen as a groomsman, and I asked Stephen, and he was delighted. Then I told my parents, and they were like, "Oh, we didn't realize she," yep, she, was going to be actually in the wedding. She'll be in all the photographs. We don't think that's appropriate. So I was obviously instantly mad. They then said that they weren't going to be comfortable attending and being in all the photographs with her, yep, her again, and that I would need to remove Stephen from the wedding party if I wanted them to come to the wedding. So I basically told them that if they weren't comfortable, they didn't have to come. I left, came home, and immediately transferred them the money for the wedding dress. I then get a phone call from my mother telling me that they will pay for the whole wedding if I remove Stephen. Basically bribing us. I just told her I needed space and I hung up. That was 3 days ago and I haven't spoken to them. I'm shocked because they have never spoken ill of Stephen before. I'm upset that they would show so little respect to someone who is so important to me. I am also upset that they have so little respect for me that they think I would turn my back on a lifelong friend for money. I don't know if I should speak to them in a few days when everything has calmed down, or if I should leave it to them. A few people I've spoken to have said I'm being a bit of an asshole because they're my parents, and they have a right to an opinion, even if it's something I don't agree with, that I'll regret them not being at my wedding, and that realistically it will ruin our relationship. I've had aunts and uncles calling me saying that this will tear our family apart, and I'm being selfish. A cousin texted me to say that I'm choosing friends over family, and that she and her parents won't be attending if my parents aren't, and the same for other members of the family. So it's basically blew up into this huge deal where a good portion of my family will likely not attend either. My view is that I don't think it's selfish to want to celebrate my day with everyone I love. I feel like the ball is in their court, and they have the choice to come or allow their bigotry to stop them attending their only child's wedding. Also, to be clear, I am 100% not removing Stephen from my wedding or taking the money. I'm not considering either option. My fiancé is in full agreement. But I just want to know if I'm the asshole for so easily accepting that my parents, and by default a lot of my family, won't be coming to my wedding? Update. First off, I want to say thank you for all the lovely comments and for people taking the time to weigh in. I tried to keep up with them all and I just couldn't, so I'm so sorry if I couldn't get to your comment. Just to be very clear, I was not asking if I am asshole for standing up for my friend. I stand by my actions 100%. I am trying to figure out if I should have done more to convince my parents to come, rather than simply accepting they won't be there. I am going to take the advice many of you have suggested and have another sit-down with my parents and reiterate my feelings. I will be firm with them and remind them that they are welcome to come, but that if they do, I expect them to be kind and courteous to all. I will do an update when I speak to them. Thank you again, Reddit X. Verdict: not the asshole. Relevant. Comment. Commenter 1, NTA. They're the ones deciding not to come. You can't be an asshole for accepting that. OOP. Thank you. I think I need to keep reminding myself that I'm not stopping them from coming. They are making that decision. OP should stand her ground against her parents and not let them hurt Stephen's feelings. She should make sure Stephen is being treated well. OOP. Thank you. You've sort of hit the nail on the head. I feel very hurt that they would feel this way, but also that they would let those feelings get in the way of something so important to me. Also, thank you for saying I'm a good friend. Honestly, it's not hard to be a good friend to him because he is such an amazing person. I've been lucky beyond measure to have him in my life for the last 14 years, and to know he's in my corner for life. Commenter 2, NTA. Your parents are being transphobic assholes. They're concerned about appearances in photos? Why? Like anyone else who sees them is going to realize that Stephen is trans? This isn't just a difference of opinion. This is outright hate for someone because they want to be assholes. Offering to pay for the wedding if you remove him takes that asshole level up about 10 notches. Honestly, after all of this, I don't think I would want them at the wedding anyway. OOP. I know. I don't really understand their fixation on the photos. I think realistically the photo thing is just an excuse to say they don't want him in the wedding, full stop. Commenter 3. NTA, at no point have you told your parents or family that they can't attend. That's all on them. I'm sorry that they are making this hard for you. This should be a happy event, and they are causing drama unnecessarily for you. You seem like a truly lovely person, and you do not deserve to be treated this way by your family. You sound like you have great friends and an equally great fiancé. So keep yourself surrounded by those positive, supportive people. They are what you deserve. Update July 30th, 2019, 2 days later. Hi, everyone. Sorry for some reason this post was deleted from the Ada page, so I just thought I'd post here, and then at least some people might see it. Just wanted to do an update since everyone was just so kind and helpful in the comments. I met my parents for lunch yesterday and just laid everything out. I stood my ground and explained to them that Stephen would be in the wedding and that I wouldn't be accepting any money from them. I asked them why none of this has come up before, and they basically said they've been holding their tongues, and this has just brought it all to a head. So they've basically always had this issue, but I suppose have never had a reason to bring it up, because they didn't want to start a fight. At the moment, we are at a bit of an impasse. They are still saying they won't be attending. But I have reiterated that if they can put their feelings aside, they are welcome. No questions asked on the day. My only requirement is that they are kind and courteous to all in attendance. So I guess we will just have to wait and see. I've sent a message to my cousins explaining the situation, and I've yet to hear back, so that's up in the air too. I feel like I also need to say that I have spoken to Stephen about this. I know a lot of people said I shouldn't speak to him about it, but that just wasn't an option for us. We have a very open friendship, and we are always honest with each other. He always would have known something was up if a big chunk of my family just suddenly weren't at my wedding. He was obviously very upset, and he immediately offered to step back from the wedding party. Both my fiancé and I were adamant about how important it was for us that he remain part of the wedding. My fiancé said that he is an important part of our lives, and it would mean a lot if he was standing up there beside him. We all cried a bit, and ultimately he's staying. So that's really where we are at right now. It's not an ideal situation, of course. It has made me question my relationship with my family, especially regarding where we fall on obvious topics. I don't think I want to completely cut them from my life, but I think it will be difficult going forward regardless of whether they attend the wedding or not. I'll admit I was probably naive when it came to their views on a lot of things, because honestly it has never affected my life before. That's probably a selfish way to have lived, but I'll put my hands up and admit that's how it's been. Anyway, thank you again to everyone who commented. It has been really amazing to see the overwhelmingly kind comments. X. Top comment. Commenter 1. I am happy that you are standing your ground and letting them know they can still come, but that they would have to be respectful to all. It was also good that you talked to him and let him know how much he means to both of you. You are going about this the right way, if you ever second-guess yourself. Story 6. Eta for saying my husband is a good father? Throwaway because my friends and family know my main. When he was in his early 20s, my husband got a girl pregnant. They were casual dating in college. They had a lot of mutual friends. He didn't want to be a dad and told her as much, but she was adamant about keeping the baby. He was supportive through the pregnancy, but was clear he didn't want to be involved. He wanted to renounce his rights, but ended up with an agreement where he still pays child support, but doesn't do visitation, nor has involvement in any parental decisions. The girl is now 12. He hasn't met her, nor plans to ever do. I met him 8 years ago. We've been married for almost 7. He told me about the whole having a bio child out there very early on. I am fine with it. It is sad that a child came to the world under those circumstances, but I don't think he was wrong for choosing not to be involved. We now have a 5-year-old son. My husband has always been wonderful to me. That's why I fell in love with him. He was great during the pregnancy and birth, and has been dotting on our son and me ever since. I think he's a wonderful dad and husband. The problem: two of his friends married their college girlfriends, whom were our friends with his bio daughter's mother. In now 3 occasions in conversations where I said my husband is a wonderful father, one of them said something snarky and mean like, "Yeah," to only one of his children. Over the weekend we attended to one of them kids' birthday party. I was chatting to another mom about motherhood and said that it's easier when you have a good team player in your spouse. The homeowner mom chimed in to say loudly, "If only the mother of his other child had the same." Later I confronted her in the kitchen, said I was very tired of her and other friend comments about my husband, that she didn't need to invite us to things or spend time with us if she didn't want to, but it was super disrespectful to be constantly insulting him as a father. She told me she initially liked me but finds it distasteful and rude that I keep praising my husband as a good father when I'm well aware that he isn't, that she will always make sure to correct me because it's not okay that he got away with what he did and he now gets to play happy family with me and our son. The conversation went south from then on, and of course we left. The other mum friend texted me yesterday to tell me she completely backs up what the other said and that I'm horrible for marrying and having a kid with a deadbeat and on top of it to praise him as a good dad. I have no doubts of my feelings. My husband has been and is great with our son and with me. I guess I never thought how my words could be insensitive towards his bio daughter and her mother, whom I've never met, but Aida for occasionally saying my husband is a good father when talking to people? Should I stop? Verdict, not the asshole. Eat it. Even though I'm NTA per the votes, I will stop all contact with these women so my comments to them will cease anyway. My husband spoke to one of his friends today and seems like this is a lot bigger, but has not much to do with us. Update March 11th, 2022. So I spoke with Tim after I posted here. He decided to speak with his friend John about what his wife, Jane, was doing, and we will cut Jane off. After Tim spoke to John, we learned the truth. Turns out this wasn't about Tim or me at all. I can only say what John authorized me to share. Even when this is anonymous, he prefers not to go into details. While still in college, John and Jane also had an unplanned pregnancy, and he wanted an abortion, but she didn't. They were still discussing what to do when she had a miscarriage, early stage. They never told anyone because she didn't want to, and John respected her wishes. My husband never knew about this and felt terrible for them. While they moved on and eventually got married and had kids, it's obvious she isn't over it and harbors resentment towards him for his stance at the time. Since our son was born, it seems she has been occasionally unloading her feelings onto Tim because she feels this is how it would have gone for her if she didn't miscarry. This is what John said. I have not spoken to Jane, so I don't know her side. John confronted her after Tim spoke to him. They had a big fight because John did not like her actions and immediately saw what was the real reason behind them. He is staying in our guest house for almost 2 weeks now, but we hope they will work through it for the sake of their family. She hates us even more now, though, for hosting him. So we are not really sure how our friendship will fare when they reconcile. The most important part of the update: John contacted bio-daughter's mom, Callie, after fighting with Jane. He told her everything and asked her to stop feeding Jane's irrational feelings because she was taking them out on us instead of him and causing problems for Tim. Callie ended up contacting me on social media. This was an absolute first. We have never interacted in any way before, and I did freak out about it when I saw her first message. She was wanting to speak to me mother to mother and clear things out, so I responded and we got to chatting. Tim was informed. She said she wanted me to know she didn't want anything more from Tim than what they had agreed on, that she never fed anything to Jane regarding him, they don't even talk that often, and she wanted no part of this mess nor to be dragged into it. I told her that we had a feeling she wasn't involved in the situation and appreciate her telling me, but really, this had nothing to do with her, and I apologized if the drama disturbed her and her daughter. We got to chatting from there on, and she's a lovely person. She is married, and her husband, Sal, has been in their daughter's Ellie life since she was about 2. She calls him Dad. They also have a younger daughter together. She knew about Tim being married to me and about us having a son because, apparently, Jane shared those things with her despite her telling her she had no interest in hearing about him. So I updated Tim of my chats with Callie all along. After some reflection and back and forths, we ended up having a video call, the four of us, Tim and I, Callie and Sal, just this past weekend. It was awkward at first, but we talked about Ellie mostly. We saw pictures of her, a beautiful girl. The gist of this is, Sal and Callie have been wanting him to adopt Ellie officially, but they were honest about how their finances would suffer from losing the child support. Plus, the biggest obstacle was they didn't want Ellie to lose her college trust fund from Tim, because they would have a very hard time providing college funds for both their daughters in their current situation, and all the more without the child support. They're not poor, nor anything, but they just don't have the means for saving away that much. Long story short, after this call, it was decided that Tim will renounce paternity and Sal will adopt Ellie officially, but Ellie will keep her trust fund/college fund. It will be up to them to decide how and what to disclose to Ellie as for where the money comes from, but so far she knows her bio father was doing his half of the financial responsibility. In other words, of course. So I don't think they'd lie to her about it. This will take some time to be finalized. We only just started, and we still need to consider if and when our children want to meet, which is a difficult topic to tackle, and we agreed to continue discussing it over time. But we are all happy. Tim says this is how it should have been all along, and Callie and Sal seem thrilled about finally being an official family. There was even a very nice moment when Sal told Tim, "You have a lovely family." And Tim replied, "Thanks, so do you." So thanks, Reddit. If I hadn't posted here, maybe none of this would be happening. OOP made this post after the Boru was originally posted. My post appeared on YouTube, April 8, 2022. One of Tim's friends saw it and told Tim about it. I never contemplated that possibility. What an idiot I am. I wasn't sure of the odds, but I had to inform Callie about my posts, because I didn't want her or Sal to come across it. Though they could also use Reddit, so IDK why I didn't think of that earlier, and be blindsided. I also had the alarming thought that maybe Ellie herself could see it. I don't know what their computer policy is, but still. So I informed her, even told her how to find it. Luckily, she isn't mad or upset about it. She found it rather amusing, if anything. Plus, I did a reasonably good job changing names and making things as anonymous as possible. As a little note, she found it funny how many comments on my original post in the Ada sub were assuming she had a terrible life full of struggles and was suffering. Joked that now she's worried she gives that impression, but I assured her she doesn't. She looks like a very happy woman. I also informed John. He didn't take it so well, but he understood it wasn't my fault, as I have nothing to do with that YouTube video thingy. He has no idea what could happen if Jane sees it and recognizes herself in it. But fingers crossed, she won't. His kids are much younger than Ellie, and they know nothing about most of these events, so he's not concerned about them. Oh well. Story 7. My daughter defended herself, resulting in the other party requesting a lawsuit. So I live in the Toronto area with my family of 5. My eldest has her black belt in Shotokan karate and is extremely focused and a great student. This all started last week before summer break. My daughter went outside for lunch, as students are allowed to. She sat on the baseball field by her school with her friends, as students are allowed to. My daughter had her back to the field facing the dugouts, when a mentally challenged student, who I am not sure why they weren't being supervised, attacked my daughter. She more or less pounced on my daughter and dug her nails into her neck, but my daughter escaped that and punched her. Then she grabbed her friends and ran into the school, where the other young girl was. The other girl started trying to bite my daughter, and my daughter was just done with it and punched her in the solar plexus and knocked the wind out of her. This is all on camera, although they don't want to show me the footage, and the other family is threatening to sue. Advice, please? Notable comments. Deleted. You need a lawyer, both to get the footage and to sue the school. If the other student was supposed to be supervised and wasn't, your child's injury attack is on the school. If she was supposed to be supervised and the school allowed the other student to be unsupervised, resulting in injury, the other parents should also be suing the school rather than your family. This is going to take years of paperwork. That being said, people are allowed to defend themselves against physical attacks, and if the fight happened the way your child described, I have a hard time thinking that a competent lawyer will not be able to handle it. Try getting someone with education law experience in your province who will work on spec for a % of the settlement. MC Ray Manx. File a police report, they'll get the camera footage, and the school can't tell them no. If all happened as you say it did, the other family doesn't have a leg to stand on. As shitty and out of their control as it is, their kid attacked yours. The disability is a defense towards that student's culpability, but not against your daughter's right to defend herself. One punch to the chest is a lot better than to the face, so it's clear she acted with restraint and didn't use her training unlawfully. Possibly the school's fault, depending on how the student with disabilities managed to be out without supervision kind of thing. If they were supposed to be and just weren't, instead of the kid just ran away, the other parents could potentially sue the school. Mark McGrew, take pics and get a lawyer now. All the conflicting advice on here just illustrates the possible pitfalls in front of you. OP, we have everything documented, and a lawyer, so I'm hoping the family can just be scared off and just leave us alone. Update. My daughter defended herself, resulting in the other party requesting a lawsuit. June 25, 2024. Last night my daughter, her friends, the girl who attacked her, and all the parents were called to the station. They asked us if we wanted to see the footage. My daughter, me, the girl who attacked her, TGBWDH for short, one of my daughter's friends, and all the parents except for one. They took us in a back room and turned on some projector screen thing, and you can see my daughter is there with her friends, and TGWAH jumped onto her and pulls her hair, bites all that, and so my daughter pushes her off and runs with her friends. The camera angle switches to where you can see both entrances to the school. TGWAH goes in one, my daughter and friends go in the other. Eventually it cuts to the office camera, like in the hall outside it. My daughter and friends run into there and try to get in the office, but TGWAH beat them there. She starts screaming and scratching my daughter and friends and bit one of her friends so bad she needed stitches. Eventually, it shows my daughter punching her and grabbing her friends to go in the office. That's when it stops. I was horrified if this child will just attack. Why didn't she have one? One supervision. I was absolutely upset at the school for their negligence of her. That is insane to me how they got away with that. Afterwards, the officer asked if they wanted to continue and bring me to court. The family said, no, Jesus wouldn't like that. So that is dealt with. The bigger issue now is, what are my next steps to go after the school board? I want my daughter to feel safe when she goes to school, not keeping her head on a swivel in fear of somebody jumping out and attacking her. How can I make sure this doesn't happen again? Notable comments. Lostress 21. I would get a personal injury lawyer to draft a demand letter to the school board and administration. That's really the only way they will take you seriously. This student should not be alone if she can violently attack students randomly. I would ask the other parents, of the friend who needs stitches, if they want to split the cost, assuming they aren't going to sue the parents' school for their daughter's injuries from the bite. OP. Yeah, no, they definitely won't sue. They're the type to give everyone second chances. _sausage_fingers. How old are these children? OP 14-15. Bookkeeper normal 8,636. Teacher and father of an autistic son here. Couple questions. 1. Did your daughter receive treatment for or report these injuries at school? If yes, you should be able to request the OSPI form, Ontario School Board Insurance Exchange. Asking for this, if one wasn't filled out, will signal alarm bells for the school. When you get one, check the dates and make sure they match the incident. Your next move is to ask for a copy of the Safe Schools report. They won't give it to you for one of two reasons. 1. They didn't make one, likely because the other student has a disability, so it likely doesn't trigger Safe School protocol, and 2. Even if they did generate a report, they can't share it because of student privacy. Push for the report, regardless of the disability, because part of that report is outlining steps to help keep your kids safe. They are supposed to contact you and outline these steps. You're going to hate me for suggesting it, but the best thing you can do right now is be an advocate for the other student to have the support they need. It's nearly impossible to get one. One, support in schools with the current government cutting spec ed funding. Some families don't know how to advocate for themselves. It's important to remember that even if this attack was targeted, the other student likely doesn't have a full understanding of what has happened. Be mad at the system and the school, but not the child with a disability. The current wait list for autism funding is over 60,000 families long, up from the 5,000 family waitlist from the Liberal government. Full-time ABA therapy costs $70K plus per year and is generally not covered by benefits. It's tough for families, but regardless, I'm sorry you have had to go through this. No parent wants their child hurt. Reminder, I'm not the original poster. Do not comment on linked posts or message OP. Story 8. ATA for refusing to get rid of the evidence of my ex's infidelity. Throwaway account. I, 52M, used to be married to my ex Candy, 52F, and I loved her very much. We met in our teens when she moved into the neighborhood right before high school, and I instantly had a crush on her, but didn't actually make a move until our senior year. We got married shortly after she graduated college and had 3 children together: Laura, 26F, Tom, 23M, and Marie, 21F. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but I thought Candy was happy with the family and life we created. However, I was wrong. Candy was bored with me and wanted more excitement. But instead of confessing her feelings and thoughts to me, she went looking elsewhere. According to her, it all started when Candy and her friends went on a girls' trip to Vegas for a weekend where she got drunk and had some fun with 2 male strippers. Candy said that while nothing happened beyond second base, it awakened something in her and she regretted not going further. A year after that, she started going to bars and clubs for excitement and eventually started hooking up with other men, and at least 2 of her girlfriends would cover for her. I was never the wiser, and probably would still be married to Candy if one of her lovers hadn't secretly documented their moments together. He was mad that she had another guy on the side and mailed the evidence to me as revenge. I was sick at seeing all the things that I did and didn't respond well. I filed for divorce, and my lawyer used some of the evidence that I was given in court, but not all of it because it wasn't necessary. I still have all the evidence that I was given and just kept it in the attic. Recently, my youngest made some not-so-great choices with an ex-boyfriend, and I ended up having to get a lawyer for her. I am amazed at how much the laws have changed, and I'm glad my daughter is protected. After it was over, I had a serious sit-down with her and told her to be more mindful and that she should always be prepared for this to hang over her head, even if the law is on her side, because some guys just don't care. This was a long and deep conversation, and I admitted to Marie about how I found out her mom cheated and let it slip that I still had the evidence. 2 days later, Candy was banging at my door, demanding that I give her everything I had, and yelled at me for keeping it. I reminded her that those things were given to me, and it was made before the law prohibited it, so as long as I don't upload and share it anywhere, or sell it to anyone, I'm legally in the clear. Candy went crying to our adult children. Marie is fully on her side, which is expected, but Tom and Laura are a little different. When asked why, I told my children that I keep it as a reminder of why I should never care about their mother. Tom feels that since I've never done anything with it before, and so long as I don't, that it's okay, while Laura says that she prefers I trash it. She won't cut me off like Marie threatened, so I'm asking Ada. Edit for typos. Edit 2. The amount of people here who keep asking me the same question as if I didn't already answer in the post is annoying. You can keep asking me, why do I still have it? But just know that going further, I will ignore it. You not liking the answer or not understanding it isn't my problem. I'd also like to thank the people who rightfully pointed it out, that I should hang on to it for legal purposes, since it is technically evidence was a good idea, and I have since explained it to my oldest 2, who will pass it along to my ex-wife and my youngest. Also, please stop insulting my youngest daughter or saying that she's just like her mom and deserved what she went through. My ex was recorded doing something she shouldn't with someone she should not have. That was her choice, and what came out from it is on her. Marie never sent anything to her ex. He recorded her when she was with him without her knowing and only told her when she tried to break up with him as a way to keep her in the relationship. Marie is understandably very sensitive to this issue, so I'm giving her space, And I don't believe that she'd actually cut me off. Ita has no consensus bot. OP received mixed reactions. Relevant. Comment? OP clarifies on the timeline when the recording was taken. OOP. No, she's was well into adulthood when the evidence was taken. Why would you think that? Commenter 1, NTA. Aside from your son, I'm disappointed in your daughters. If I were them, I would be more concerned that was how you found out that my mom was cheating. Like how horrible. OP. I'm giving Marie a pass because of her recent experience, but I know Laura had the toughest time with the divorce and still gets a little anxious whenever her mom and I attend the same events, so I think she just wants it all to go away. Commenter 2. Resentment and bitterness build the cage that only punishes ourselves. Let that ish go and move on with your life, and don't drag your kids, who are a part of you and a part of her, into this. OOP. I'm not dragging our kids into this. She is when decried to them about how I won't give her the tapes. She dragged them into it when she chose to cheat. She dragged them into this when tried to blame me for the divorce. Commenter 3. YTA, and that is so creepy. It's like you are holding on to it, so if she is ever happy in a relationship, then you will pull it out to show the guy. Move on! OOP. She is in a relationship with someone else, has been for at least 3 years, and I've never shown it to the guy and never will, because then my ex would have a case against me. However, if he ever asked me to verbally confirm anything, I would not hold back on the details. Update December 14th, 2024, 3 months later. I wasn't sure if I was going to do this, but since someone messaged me, I thought I'd share. Don't know if I'll give another update after this one, though. Long story short, my ex got arrested and my ex is facing charges. For details, please continue reading. Context. I had a security to which my children know the security code to, but for unimportant reasons, there was a switch in the company, and when I upgraded, I was given a new code and security pad to put it in. Also, at the advice of the people installing the new, I moved it to another spot. I told my oldest 2 kids what the new code was in person, as I don't like texting that type of stuff in fear of phone hacking, and since my youngest daughter wasn't talking to me and didn't want to hear from me. She didn't know about the change in codes. Now on the what happened. I left town for a trip I'd scheduled a while back that my youngest daughter was aware of. This trip was going to be about 7 days long, so my neighbors knew to keep their eyes peeled for anything suspicious. 2 days into my trip, I get an alert that my house was being broken into. The company calls and I tell them that I did not enter my home and wasn't expecting anyone. My neighbors also called the authorities. I could tell by the security cam that it was my ex-wife and she had someone else there, but I didn't recognize them. The authorities had detained my ex, who insisted that it was all a simple misunderstanding, and I told them over the phone that it wasn't and I wanted to press charges and then laughed when the call was over. I laughed a lot, hard and to the point where I was in tears and struggling to breathe. There was something about my trashy ex getting punished by the law that felt so liberating to me, but my joy took a pause when I started getting calls from my youngest. Turns out she gave the old security code to her mom with the intent to search my home for the tapes while I was gone and get them. My ex went on a different day than what was planned, don't know why, and that's how everything happened. My daughter asked me not to press charges, but I went forward with it. My daughter was angry with me, and we got into an argument where she blamed me for still having the tapes and telling her that I had the tapes. We haven't really spoken since, but my other daughter convinced me to go to therapy, and after a couple of sessions, I discovered that one of the reasons why I held on to the tapes was because I never felt as if my ex was punished enough for what she did. She never apologized, never showed remorse, made excuses, and that has always pissed me off, and it's also why I'm refusing to drop the charges. I'm still processing what all this means, but that's how it is right now. Relevant comment. OOP explains more about his state laws about the evidence he has and the charges against the ex. OOP. I don't know where you're at, but where I live. My lawyer said I'm in the clear because the DVDs were made before there were laws against it. Also, I'm not dropping the charges. She broke into my house, that's a crime, with the intent to steal, that's a crime, and damaged some of my property during the attempt, that's a crime. I don't know how my daughter would be able to testify against me without getting herself into hot water, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Why is OOP's ex around him and the family? OOP. The kids. Technically, they're adults now, but I still see her at events because the kids want us both there. Sucks, but it's just one of those things that you gotta put up with as a dad. Commenter. Wouldn't that make the daughter an accessory to the break-in since she gave her mother the security code, knowing that her mother was going to break into his house? Story 9. Aita for calling my cousin's ex to come get their daughter and refusing to watch her for the night. I, 15F, used to be really close with my cousin Cherie, 17F, who had her daughter Penelope last year. Since we're close in age, I've always supported her, especially during her pregnancy and unstable relationship with Mark, Penelope's dad. I've spent time with Penelope a lot, taking her to the park or the gallery, and when Cherie asked me to babysit one evening while she went out with friends, I agreed because I love both of them. Everything went fine until 11:30, the time Cherie said she'd be back. She didn't show up, didn't call, and didn't answer my texts. Since Penelope was asleep, I decided to wait, assuming she lost track of time. But hours passed with no word from Cherie, which wasn't like her, so I got really worried. I tried contacting her friends and checking her location, but she'd turned it off. This was odd since she'd always shared her location with me. Finally, she texted around 3 a.m. saying she was staying over at a friend's because it was late, and she didn't want to pay for a taxi. By this point, I was exhausted and upset. Cherie had left me in the dark and essentially made me watch Penelope all night without asking. If she had communicated her plans, I might have agreed, but it felt unfair to assume I'd stay, especially since I'm only 15. At first, I decided to wait it out until morning and talk to Cherie later, but Penelope woke up screaming, and I couldn't get her back to sleep. Feeling overwhelmed, I called Mark, Cherie's ex, for help. After explaining the situation, he came over with his mom to pick up Penelope. I texted Cherie to let her know where Penelope was and stayed on her sofa for the night, planning to leave in the morning. When I woke up, I had no response from Cherie, so I went home and told my parents, who supported my decision. Later, Cherie called me, furious, accusing me of betrayal and saying I'd sided with her ex. She also claimed I had dragged Penelope into her issues with him. Despite trying to explain my perspective, she hung up. A few days later, she sent a long message reiterating how hurt she felt and blaming me for breaking her trust. Since then, I've been bombarded with messages from Cherie's friends and even my aunt, saying I shouldn't have called Mark and should have just stayed the night. But I'm confused because Penelope regularly sees her dad, has stayed at his house before, and I never agreed to watch her overnight. Was I wrong to call Penelope's dad and not wait it out? Or was I right to do what I did? Edit. Since a few people have asked, and I forgot to mention, my aunt and uncle, Cherie's parents, had gone away for the weekend, which was why Cherie went out in the first place, and I didn't call my parents because I honestly just panicked and thought it was too late at night. Relevant comment. 77 meg, 77, NTA. Your cousin was taking advantage of you. No responsible mother would fail to answer her phone when her baby is being watched by someone. If there had been a medical emergency, that would have been too much pressure on you. I am thinking your cousin didn't tell you that she was planning on staying out all night because she thought you might have refused to watch her child. Her behavior was totally irresponsible. You tried to get a hold of her, and when she didn't answer, you called the baby's father. She is acting like you just went home, leaving the baby alone in the house with the front door wide open. You did the responsible thing. Don't let their comments upset you. She is just feeling guilty and probably embarrassed for setting you up for an overnight babysitting without warning you. Gendered Phoenix. You broke her trust? Hun, she broke yours. Your 15 had no clear communication, no way to see when she'd be back until super late in the night. Honestly, I don't think I would have been able to have had such a clear mind at 15 to contact her ex, among the stress of the lack of contact, the baby crying, etc. You were responsible, did the right things, still kept a mature sense of mind through all of this. Honestly, even though I don't know you, I'm proud of how you handled everything. What I don't like is how your cousin, aunt, and cousin's friends are basically harassing you, making you out to be the bad person in all of this. Don't let them drag you down, though, or let them make you think that you did wrong. Them being upset at you makes no sense to me, especially since Penelope has been at her dad's house before. Because of this, you being told that you're dragging Penelope through your cousin's issues with her ex makes no sense to me. NTA. I hope this'll all wind down soon and you'll be able to relax and not deal with this any longer. Lazy Instruction 600? NTA. Ask her if she would have preferred you to call the police and had CPS visiting her to investigate child neglect and abandonment. She never should have left you hanging until after 3 a.m. and to not respond to your calls and texts. What if something bad had happened and a medical provider needed her to make medical decisions? If she wanted to stay out late and party with her friends, she shouldn't have had a baby at 16. Now she's a mother and she needs to grow up, whether she wants to or not. West Resource 1604. NTA. Am I understanding this correctly? 15-yo supposed to be responsible adult for 1-yo until late, turns into an all-nighter. Mother informs her she doesn't want to come home as agreed. Cannot calm infant down. Cannot get child's mother to respond, so contacts child's father. What in this scenario is incorrect? Target points. Infant has 2 parents. Not just one, not just mom. 2. No 15-yo should be doing an all-nighter. 3. OP is being taken advantage of by cousin, who has a right to be concerned that her irresponsibility can be used to bolster dad's 50/50th custody request. Air Elemental _0316. If in the States, some states have an age limit for overnight babysitting. In my state, you need to be 17 in order to babysit overnight. Not a lot of people follow that, but that's what I found out while trying to find an overnight sitter. I thought I found one, but turns out her parents declined overnights due to age legalities. Update, same post, 8 hours later. Update. I wasn't sure if I should put this in a comment or if I should edit the post, so please tell me if I did it wrong so I can fix it. Thanks so much for all your responses. It's really reassuring to hear all your opinions, so thank you so much. I don't think I did a great job at explaining the situation fully when I wrote my original post. I was pretty upset about all the messages, so I think it came off a little bit like a huge rant. So I'll explain a few things I saw people asking questions about. The original plan for me to watch Penelope was that once Cherie came home at 11:30, I would go to sleep at their house, and she would take over. But since she didn't, I obviously wasn't going to go to sleep with Penelope in the house whilst I didn't know where my cousin was. I'm also really close with Cherie anyway, and I sleep over a lot, so it's pretty usual for me to be sleeping there, which is why my parents didn't reach out during the whole thing. I'm realizing now that I should have called them, but it's too late now. I think this is also why she expected me to just stay and deal with the whole thing. I see a lot of people talking about how my first reaction should have been to call my parents and not Mark, and you're probably right, but that's just not what I did. My relationship with my parents isn't great, so they usually aren't my first choice in an emergency call, and I knew Penelope's dad pretty well from when he would be at my cousin's house a lot, so I thought that as her dad I should call him first. To start to, resolve what's happened and take some of the advice given, I talked to my mum this morning and showed her the texts from my aunt and my cousin's friends. I've blocked the friends, and my mum says she's going to go round and talk to my aunt later today, so hopefully that will be sorted. I also got some texts from Mark earlier, thanking me for calling him, which definitely made me feel better about this, and a few of you were right. Him and his mum apparently want to argue for more custody of Penelope, so that's probably what all the anger from Cherie is about. I sent Cherie a message explaining that I understand that she might have issues with Mark, but that in that situation where I really was out of my depth and dealing with things that were too much for me, he was the best person to call since he is the other parent, and she never told me not to call him. I've not heard anything back yet, but I know she's pretty mad at me, so I don't expect anything from her soon. Thanks again for all the reassurance. I definitely won't be babysitting for her again, and to the people that are saying I'm lying about ages IDKY I'd lie, don't know what I'd gain from that TBH. I'll continue to update if anything else happens, though. Editor's note. OOP has said they would update again if needed. It's likely Cherie will respond and may continue to cause problems, so I mark this as ongoing. If you disagree, let me know. Story 10. Entitled Coworker Demands I Share My Bonus, because they deserve it more. So I work at a company that offers bonuses based on individual performance. I recently got a bonus, and let's just say I worked my butt off for it. Late nights, weekends, the whole deal. But here's the kicker. My coworker, who spends half their time scrolling on their phone and consistently turns in work late, actually had the nerve to demand I share my bonus because, in their words, they deserved it more. They went on about how we all work hard and claimed that it was only fair, since they have more expenses than me. I tried explaining that we all get evaluated on our own performance and that it wouldn't be fair to split it. Of course, that didn't go over well, and now they're going around the office calling me selfish and greedy. Some of my other coworkers are rolling their eyes at this, but a few are starting to act a bit colder to me. Am I crazy, or is this entitlement at a whole new level? Relevant comment. Madame Genevieve. Pretty crazy entitled. Is she going to share hers with you, or does she only take from others? I'd bring it up with HR. Add fresh 8,123. That's flat-out harassment and shouldn't be tolerated. Document what you can and bring it to your bosses and HR's attention. Daylily 61. And as soon as possible. The woman is poisoning the work environment, not just for you, Nestor, but for everyone who has to interact with her. OP. I've started keeping a record of everything, including the comments they're making to others. I'll definitely bring this up with my boss and HR. Update October 29, 2024. Asterisk, asterisk, update, asterisk, asterisk. Yesterday, I shared a post about a coworker who expected me to share my individually earned bonus, claiming it was only fair because they had more expenses. I was blown away by the responses from you all, some suggesting I let it go, others, jokingly I hope, suggesting a slap. But most of you advised me to escalate the situation to HR. Well, I took your advice, and as of this morning, Tuesday, 9 a.m., I've just left the HR office. They took my complaint seriously, and it turns out I'm not the only one who's had this issue with her. She's now been suspended for 3 weeks, pending further investigation. Thank you all for the advice and support. Sorry I couldn't reply to each of your comments individually, but I appreciate everyone who asked for an update. Relevant comment. Frig off Lou. OP. If she loses her job as a result of this, don't be like many other people we've seen post in subreddits. It won't be your fault in any way. I say this because of the abundance of posts I've read where people have gone to HR about something a coworker has done and felt guilty when the coworker was terminated. In these situations, it's never the fault of the person who's going to HR. It's always the fault of the person whose actions cause someone to go to HR. Thanks for the update, OP. Madhouse. Wow! A 3-week suspension is not messing around. Appreciate the update, and please update again if anything else interesting happens. Madame_Kitsune98. Sounds like it's a pattern with her. Turns out she does it mostly to her female colleagues. Madame_Kitsune98. No! Color me so shocked! Per S. So much sarcasm. I'm ever so surprised. What a bitch. Gypsy 1963. I think you mentioned yesterday that there were also other co-workers, friends of this entitled biatch, I suspect, that were giving you the cold shoulder treatment as well. If they continue or escalate, go back to HR and complain that they are creating a hostile work environment because they're taking the recently suspended co-worker's side. I think they also want a split of your bonus. Money does strange things to people. Keep up the good work. Accomplished_Yam 590. I'm also wondering if entitled coworker has spread lies about OP to the cold shoulder crowd. I suspect OP cannot discuss an active investigation with those folks, but it might be good to set the record straight when that becomes possible. OP. Thanks for pointing that out. I have a feeling the same. It could explain the cold shoulder. I'll definitely clear things up once I'm able to. The unexpected outcome of speaking up hash. Final update, November 7th, 2024. This work Thursday morning has been remarkably silent in the office. Sometime earlier today, our team had an impromptu meeting. Our manager's expression was somber as she broke the news. Finally, the one I mentioned to you as my colleague has been fired. What is surprising is that the investigation uncovered not only our case, but also others. As it turns out, She has had a history of such misconduct and demanding money out of people far beyond my story. It means that HR revealed numerous complaints that have never been submitted before. Sometimes there's a strange sense of joy as well as sorrow. It doesn't even feel like winning to me. It feels contemplative. It is my hope that this would be a wake-up call for her, but for the team it is a wake-up call on how we should comport ourselves at the places of work. Thanks once again to all who gave advice or recounting of their encounter with this and similar questions. As in this post, sometimes to make the change one has to speak out. Thank you for your support and advice. Relevant comment. Tamalini. Did they never correct her before? Honestly, if she's been warned over and over, she totally did this to herself. OP? Severally, since she has been in the company for a while. Tamaline. Greedy and dumber than a bag of hair, that one. Specialist feeling 220. I first heard that phrase in reference to Sarah Palin, and have loved it ever since. Marefair. Good for you. We had an extremely toxic manager. We all went straight to corporate and filed a complaint. They did an investigation and fired her butt. Speak up, people. Bad behavior will continue if no one says anything. Story 11. Ada for telling my wife she's perfect the way she is after she gave birth a month ago, which resulted in her lashing onto me. Been married to my wife for 2 years. I am 24 and she's 26. After she got pregnant, she always would find fault in every little thing she did or I did. Constantly complains about everything. It started during her second trimester, and it didn't stop but got worse. I always was by her side and comfort her, and she would calm down for our baby. But yesterday she had a breakdown. She was sobbing so much when I went to her and asked her what's wrong. She took her clothes off and screamed, "Look at me and look at my belly." I gave her a hug and told her that it's a bit different now, but certainly will get better. Just give it some time. I said I love her the way she is and our bodies changes over time, but my love towards her will never fade 'cause I love her for who she is, not her body. She screamed at me and said, "Am I pitying her? Am I enjoying the way she and her body is? Do I want an ugly wife?" I said you got it all wrong and hugged her. She grabbed my collar and aggressively kissed me. I didn't like it, but I went with it for her. She said that I am not allowed to sleep with her tonight. She loves me. But if I were to say something like this again, she will punch me. I tried stopping her and explained myself, but she didn't listen to me and grabbed our baby and went to sleep. I didn't bother her by going to our bedroom despite wanting to see my baby for my wife's sake. But now I am wondering if I said something wrong. I just wanted to comfort her, not insult her. I didn't mean to hurt her, but she took it as if I was making fun of her or putting her. So am I the asshole? I don't even understand what I did wrong here. Ada has no consensus bot. OOP received mixed reactions. Relevant. Comment? Commenter 1. Is she seeing a psychiatrist and/or psychologist right now? The hormone roller coaster during and after pregnancy is wild and can truly cause some women to lose their minds and/or wills to live. Postpartum psychosis and depression are debilitating. She sounds like she needs professional help, for her sake and your baby's sakes as well. OP. No, she isn't. But after the way she reacted, I am scared and don't really know how to bring it up to her. Commenter 1. Incredibly fair. She seems very volatile right now. This is something that you could reach out to your family care doctor about and ask them for their advice on the matter. But I would urge you to do so. This is a matter of safety for everyone involved, including yourself. OP, I am not really concerned about my safety. I am more so concerned about my wife's and my baby's. My priority is to always take care and think of them first. I know my wife wouldn't harm our baby because she always talks and thinks about her. She wakes up in multiple times in the middle of night to check up on our baby and spends most of her time with our baby. Keep our baby close in her arms all day. She loves our baby to death. She probably loves our baby more than she loves me, and I am so grateful. But you are right. I should talk to our family doctor to talk to my wife, or even see a counselor as to how to bring the idea of seeking professional help to my wife, 'cause now I think she's not well, and make sure she doesn't get worse. I am now thinking of just taking a few weeks' leave and care for her and keep seeking options to get her help, meds, therapy, or whatever it is. I am so concerned after the way she acted. I know she loves me and I love her as well. Update. December 3rd, 2024. I am thankful for everyone's advice. It's the first time for me that my wife is reacting the way she is, and it's also the first time for her to give birth and see her body change so drastically. But when I was reading the comments, I saw many people suggested that I should leave because my wife said she would punch me. I don't think it's a good idea for me to run away and leave my love and my baby behind to tend for themselves. Anyway, I focused on comments about helping her as soon as possible for her and our baby's sake. I don't know much about PPD or psychosis, but no matter it is, I am willing to take a punch from her if it calms her down. Normally, she wouldn't say that, and I don't think it's abuse. I think she's just suffering. After reading all the comments, I decided to call my mill. I explained to her everything and what my wife said. My mill said, "Why didn't I tell her sooner? Why did I wait?" I said, "I'm sorry." She said, "Don't apologize. She's flying to us, but it will take her a while, so I should try my best to comfort her." Last time I tried to comfort her about her body, but this time I thought it would be best if I talked to her about our love and how much we love our baby. I went to her and she was playing with our baby. And when she saw me, she asked me, "What do I want?" I said, "Can we hug each other for a while?" She said, "Yes." We both hugged each other and held our baby together. I expressed my love to her. I told her how much I love her and she's and our baby are most important for me, my priority. She and our baby is my everything. And I said I am sorry and I want to be in her and our baby's life till I die and do everything I can for them. Her and our baby's health and well-being is what I think about all the time. My wife started crying and just didn't say anything, just hugged me and cried. But after I told her that she should put our baby to sleep first, she calmed down. After our baby fell asleep, I comforted her more. She didn't say anything at all, just kept crying and hugging me on the couch. I kept telling her that I love her and will always do, and no matter what, I will always be by her side to help her. And I know she loves me. She was silent, but I was kissing her forehead and face, and eventually she fell asleep and still sleeping by my side. I texted my mill about everything and will do if there's a drastic change in my wife's behavior. I told her that she shouldn't tell my wife that I talked to her and I am texting because I don't want my wife to wake up and know about it all. My mill said she knows what to do, but I should take care of her until she arrives. So yeah, that's all that has happened. I am going to stay awake until my mill arrives and help my wife if she needs help. Meanwhile, I will read more and educate myself. I am happy that she's sleeping peacefully. Posting this once again for advice. I would appreciate it. I decided to not involve doctors yet, until my mill arrives and like others said, she will know what to do. Relevant comment? OP responds to a downvoted commenter regarding his wife abusing him. OOP, question, do you really think she's abusing me? I don't like the way you guys are talking about my wife. Do you really think she's in a condition to accept responsibility? She gave birth to our child and clearly suffering, and as a husband and father, I also am, not as much as she is, but still pissed out of my fucking mind. Why did she wait so long to abuse me? Give birth to my child and abuse me? Is that some kind of master plan or something? So what is the solution? Run away, get out of my own home, and leave my own child and wife behind while my mill is on the way to help us? Change the fucking city or country of whatever. Listen, man, my wife didn't abuse me. Sure, she was out of line, but she gets a pass for biting my lips and tongue because she gave birth to my child just a month ago. But right now I cannot just leave her behind and do fuck all with my life. If in future she keeps abusing me, then I will definitely leave. Commenter 1. You're doing your best to support her, which is really important. Just remember, reaching out to a professional might help both you and your wife get through this challenging time even more effectively. You're not alone in this, and seeking help can make a big difference. OP. No. A professional therapist is a necessity at this point for both of us. Forget about me, it's necessary for her, but I thought it's better if I follow my mill's advice. Yesterday, my wife lashed out on me. Today, she said, "What do I want?" Calling a doctor is not a problem. It just takes a call and bit of money, and I don't care about it. But the thing is, she might get angry and start overthinking, and I want to avoid that for her health. She's currently sleeping peacefully just beside me, and my mill said she knows what to do and just wait unless it's an emergency. So I decided to wait and let her sleep peacefully. It's not that I don't want her to get help from a professional. I don't know how to bring it up to her, and I want her to sleep unless there's an emergency OFC. Her mother knows way more than I and my wife do, and I decided to trust her judgment and wait. OP responds to on waiting until his MIL arrives before getting the doctors involved with his wife's care. OOP, downvoted. You are a nurse. You are far more experienced than I could ever possibly be. As ignorant and stupid as I am about what my wife is going through, I decided to not call for a doctor after my wife yesterday lashed on me and her reaction today when she asked what do I want. My mill is no therapist, but as best as my judgment can be at this moment, I thought she can handle this situation far better than I can. A woman in their 50s knows far more than I do. I was thinking that my wife would lash onto me and complain that I called doctors on her. My mill would be with us before my wife wakes up, so I thought she can talk to her way better than I can. I also want to sleep, and I am exhausted, but I won't. She comes first and our baby for me. Maybe naive, stupid, ignorant, or whatever. I just tried my best. One wrong word from me and it will piss her off even more is what I thought. And you said she might get better in a week, which means it might take even longer? That's absolutely fucking terrifying. I think she will. She has to. If not for me, then for our baby. She's sleeping peacefully after crying a lot. If her health gets worse, then I am rushing her to hospital. Is there a lack of judgment on my part? Story 12. My stepdaughter died 4 weeks ago, and I caught my husband and his ex-wife in our bed. My stepdaughter Becca, 14F, died 4 weeks ago. I've been in her life since she was 7 years old. We were extremely close. My husband Derek, 40M, his ex-wife Sam, 38F, and I, 35F, get along very well. There has never been an issue in the 7 years that I've been with Derek. Sam has always been kind to me. She didn't even care that Becca called me Mom, too. Right after Becca's passing, Sam had so much anxiety and depression that she was unable to be by herself. She has no family besides us, so we invited her to stay with us. Sam hardly leaves the house. She mostly just sleeps in Becca's room, which is completely understandable. I always tell her that I'm here if she needs me, and that I want her to take her time with grieving, and that there is no pressure to go back to her home. Today I needed to run some errands, so I asked Sam if she'd like to join me to get out of the house a little bit. But she declined and said she'd rather just stay at the house and sleep. I told Derek that I was leaving and that I would be back in 2-ish hours. He works from home. I also told him to check on Sam every once in a while and maybe try getting her to eat something. After stopping at the post office, I realized I forgot my library book that I needed to return, so I went back home to get it. As soon as I walked in the door, I heard moaning coming from mine and Derek's bedroom. I immediately knew what was happening, and my heart completely broke in that moment. I wasn't completely sure what to do, but I ended up deciding to confront them. So I walked to the bedroom and opened the door and began yelling at them both. Sam started having an anxiety attack and ran to the bathroom while Derek kept apologizing profusely. I asked him what the hell was happening. He told me that he made himself and Sam some lunch, and they began talking about Becca and shared some memories. And then Sam ended up kissing him, and he didn't pull back, and then it ended with them in our bed. They're begging me to understand that it was just grief that caused them to become intimate, and that they both made a mistake. I don't know what to do. I love this man, and I love Sam. I'm heartbroken that they did this to me and put me in this position. I feel so stuck. Relevant. Comment? Great Championship 252. That would be hard no for me. I understand grieving, but how is this excusing cheating? What happens next time he is sad? Edit. I misspoke when I said sad. Obviously, this is something beyond devastating. I still don't think it can be used as an excuse. OP, I don't want to excuse his cheating. I think I want to divorce him, but I'm anxious about doing it right after we lost Becca. Spellbound Mama. Probably together. Do you both own the home? If it's in your name, change the locks. Stay strong and don't listen to his excuses. I'm so sorry this happened to you during such a difficult time. OOP. Exactly what I was thinking, if I'm being honest. And yes, we both own it. When I told him to leave, he kept saying sorry and then said that he would leave and respect me wanting him gone for a while. Impulsive sex thoughts. Are you seeing a therapist, perhaps? You're dealing with a lot right now. It might be useful. OOP. Yes, I am in therapy. I've been with my therapist for other things for the last 3 years. She's been very helpful. I saw her yesterday and was able to figure some things out. Update #1, May 11th, 2024. I decided that I'm filing for a divorce. I can't ever trust Derek again. It sucks because we had an amazing relationship, I thought. He's always been great, so this was a complete shock to me. Last night, Derek came over to talk. He confessed to a lot. Turns out it wasn't their first time having sex like most people thought. They've been having sex since 3 months before Becca died. I am completely shocked and heartbroken. Sam also reached out last night and thanked me for everything I've done for her, and told me she was sorry. I didn't respond, I blocked her. I did so much for Sam and considered her a friend, so this hurts a lot, more than I can handle. This is all too much. As hard as this is going to be, I need to leave Derek and cut them both out of my life. I am ready to do so. I am done. Also, some people are saying I deserved this because I should have known better than to let Sam into our home, around Derek. But you need to understand that I'm a giving person. I trust people more than I should. I truly thought Sam was an amazing person. I know it's unusual to become friends with your husband's ex-wife, but it's just how it went for us, and I shouldn't be blamed for what happened. Thank you to everyone who commented nice things and for the kind messages. You've all been helpful during this insanely difficult time. I appreciate it. Relevant comment? Impulsive side thoughts. Out of curiosity, what are his excuses for cheating? Those two are going to be in a world of hurt once the guilt settles in. They're going to be asking themselves why it had to be Becca, and will eventually come to conclusion that it's their punishment for what they've done to you. I can pretty much guarantee you that. OP. He told me that they just accidentally reconnected one night when I was away at my mom's. He was stressed we weren't conceiving and were having miscarriages, so he vented to Sam, and then somehow that led to sex. It seems so icky to me. How can he vent about our struggles like that and then go and have sex with Sam? It's just awful of him. I don't understand it. Editor's note. Remove the first half of the updates as it was a rehash of update #1, update #2, May 13th, 2024. I'm getting lots of questions about some things, so I figured I'd answer a few of them. Have I told anyone about what happened besides my mom? Yes, I told a few friends and some family members. Most of them are supportive of my decision and aren't speaking to Derek. Where is Derek staying? Currently, he's staying at a hotel. Our friends refuse to let him stay with them. He's lost a lot of people due to his awful decisions. Has he tried fighting me on getting a divorce? Yes, he begged me not to file for divorce, but when I told him I needed him to just let me go and that I was too exhausted to fight him on this, he let it be and agreed to getting a divorce. Why isn't Derek staying with Sam? He told me he didn't want to continue to hurt me, so he told Sam he was done with her for good, and that they have no reason to speak to each other anymore. I have no idea if that'll last, and if they'll just end up together. But I truly don't care what they do anymore. I just want peace. What was Derek's excuse for cheating? He told me that they just accidentally reconnected one night when I was away at my mom's. He was stressed we weren't conceiving and were having miscarriages, so he vented to Sam, and then somehow that led to sex. Disgusting of them both, I know. Feel free to ask anything else, and I'll try to answer. Thank you everyone for your support and advice. Relevant. Comment? OOP on what happened to Becca. OOP. It was very sudden. She died in a car accident when she was with one of her friends and her friend's parents. OOP on her husband's parents being supportive or not, and if they know about his cheating. OOP. I get along with Derek's mom very well, but he's also a mama's boy, so it's kinda complicated. She will always be there for him. He'd stay with her if she didn't live across the country. She knows what he did and told me she had a talk with him, but said that he's still her son and she'd help him with anything if he needed it. I'm thinking I need to cut her out of my life too, which makes me really sad because we were close and talked on the phone almost daily. OOP on if she has children with her husband. OOP, we've had 6 miscarriages total. All of them were in the first trimester. More updates. May 14th, 2024. I just found out that he is staying with Sam and not at the hotel. He told me it's too expensive to stay at a hotel, and Sam is the only one that'll help him right now. I had a feeling this would happen. Just knowing that they are still probably sleeping together hurts my heart. I talked to a lawyer this morning and we are proceeding with the divorce and Derek agreed to it. It's actually happening, and I feel some relief that he's not fighting me on this. My mom leaves on Sunday. I'm scared to be alone. But I go back to work on Monday, so I'm hoping it'll be a good distraction. I'll keep updating if anything else happens. Thank you, everyone. I am so grateful for you all. Relevant. Comment? Immaculate 329. OP, how did you find out he was staying at his ex-wife's place? Anything he says should be taken with a grain of salt. He is not true to his words in going on contact with Sam. OOP. He texted me this morning after we talked to lawyers and said he just wants to be honest with me. I told him to stop giving me updates on what he's doing in his life and that it's not something I need to know. It seems like he wanted to tell me to hurt me. OP on how she is doing. OP, thank you. I'm doing a little better today. My mom and I went on some nature walks and went out into the garden this afternoon. That helped. Becca loved gardening with me, so it made me feel closer to her. Becca's diary. May 15th, 2024. I decided to go through some of Becca's stuff today. I just found her diary in a box in the back of her closet. Would it be wrong to read some of it? I feel like it would help me feel closer to her, but part of me feels like it's wrong too. I haven't told Derek that I found it either, and I'm unsure if I should tell him. What would you do? Relevant comment? OOP on if she was closer with Becca prior to her sudden passing. OOP. Becca and I were very close. It felt like she told me anything and everything, but I honestly think all parents feel that way about their kids, so I'm kinda nervous to read it. Just a little update. May 19th, 2024. I figured it's been a few days, so I should give a little update. My mom is leaving in a couple hours, so I'll be alone. I'm kinda nervous about it. She helped me stay distracted and kept me going. IDK how I'm gonna handle her being gone. I go back to work tomorrow, first day back since Becca passed away. I'm looking forward to it, though, because it'll keep me distracted. Also, I did read some of Becca's diary. It made me love her even more. She was such a sweetheart. I went back a few months and saw that she noticed some weird behavior between Derek and Sam. Didn't mention that she knew of the affair, but she just wrote that she thought it was kind of strange that they all three would hang out more than usual without me. I might read more, but so far I haven't found anything that's disturbing. Just her being a teenager and talking about crushes, fights with friends, happy family memories, etc. Tomorrow I'm also talking to my lawyer, so I might have more updates on that. Thanks for the continuous love and support, everyone. Last update for a while. May 26th, 2024. Started randomly getting a lot more messages, comments, so I figured I'd do another little last update. My first week back at work went great. I wasn't expecting it to go so well, but thankfully it did. My coworkers were so helpful and patient with me. On Friday night, I decided I didn't want to stay home all weekend alone, so I decided to drive up to my mom's. It helps I have a 3-day weekend, so I can spend more time with her. I'm heading back home tomorrow. Also, for those of you that have messaged me hateful things for reading Becca's diary, I just have to say, you aren't in my shoes right now. Telling me I'm a bad mom because I'm reading her diary is just ridiculous. I learned so much more about her, about how caring and sweet she is, and it made me love her even more. It's how I'm able to feel so close to her right now, so please don't tell me I'm a bad parent for just trying to get by one of the hardest times of my life. You have no idea what it's like. I don't have much of an update, so this will be it. I'll come back and update once the divorce happens, though. Thank you to those of you that have been nothing but kind and helpful. You help me feel less alone. I'll forever be grateful. Sam saw my Reddit post and is threatening to sue me. June 1st, 2024. Sam made a fake FB profile to message me and tell me she wants to sue me for telling strangers about what happened. Derek supports her, apparently. I don't need this. Am I not allowed to vent about my life to people online? I just want life to get better. I'm so tired. Fuck you, Sam. Fuck you, Derek. Edit. Sam is in the comments and messaged me on here too. Blocked her. Additional information from OOP. OOP on the message from Sam. OOP. No, I just ignored her. It might be an empty threat just to make my life harder, but I'm unsure. Her message said, so I was scrolling TikTok and ended up on an account where they read Reddit posts, and guess whose post they read? Yours! First you tell friends and family, and then you go to a bunch of strangers and tell them our life story? I can't believe you. It isn't just your business to tell. Becca would be so disappointed in you. Be prepared, because I think I'm going to be suing you for this. This was no one else's business. You did this to yourself. Remember that. I'm actually baffled. She thinks Becca would be disappointed in me. Debutef. Trigger warnings, suicide. I don't think I can do this anymore. June 11th, 2024. I have been as strong as I can be, but I have been really struggling. So much is going on, and I'm just so tired. How can I keep going? I just want to be with Becca. I miss her. I miss her smile. I miss her laugh. I miss how she'd try to make you laugh when you were sad by telling Dad jokes. I miss how she liked being in the garden with me. I miss seeing all her new drawings. I miss her beautiful eyes. I miss everything about her. I just want her back. I need her back. Edit. I am okay. I just needed a space to vent. I was getting so many messages asking if I'm all right, and I just wanted to say thank you to those that reached out. I am okay. I will be okay. Some days are harder than others, but I think I'll get through this. I'm so grateful for the little community I have here. Thank you all so much. Sam took her life on June 20th, 2024. July 4th, 2024. Sam ended up taking her own life on June 20th. I am still trying to process everything. She had hurt me deeply, but this isn't something I wanted whatsoever. And Derek blames me. I feel so many things and I'm going to be away for a while again, but I wanted to update you all. Thanks for the love, everyone. Comment? OP on how she is doing after Becca's death and now Sam's passing. OP. I hope they're together again. And I hope they're both at peace too. That's all I hope for. Thank you. Taking a break from Reddit and going on a trip in a week. July 11th, 2024. Well, I'm doing it. I'm taking the advice that so many of you had. I'm going on a trip since my job doesn't need me till the middle of August. I was so lucky I had my mom come stay with me a lot and had my best friend come stay with me when my mom couldn't. But I felt like I was asking too much of them. So I decided that maybe traveling might actually be a good idea. In a week I'm going to Norway! Becca and I always wanted to go there one day. It was on our bucket list. I'm actually excited. I'm also thinking of getting a pet when I come back, but might wait till I move. Thank you to those that recommended I do this. Becca would be happy I'm doing this. She'd be so frickin' thrilled for me. You probably won't hear from me for a while. I'm taking a long break from Reddit and all my social media. I think it's best for me. But just know I love and appreciate all of you that have been there for me. I would have been so lost without some of you. Yours truly, Alyssa. Editor's note. The latest new update is over a month old. Old new update? A few updates. October 24th, 2024. Hi, everyone! I haven't been on here in so long. I got so many messages asking me to do an update, so here it is. Norway was absolutely breathtaking. I had so much fun and met some amazing people while I was there. I plan on returning in the future for sure. A couple weeks ago was the 6-month anniversary of Becca's death. It's been hard, but it's getting easier to live everyday life. But it also pains me to say that, because I feel guilty for moving on and healing. IDK, if that makes sense, maybe it does to those who have also lost someone close. I moved out of Derek and my house a month ago and got myself a cozy little house all to myself. And oh yeah, I got a dog. His name is Charlie, and he's a darling little Cavalier Spaniel. He's been great. I absolutely love him. Also, I am awfully divorced as of last week. It was a very easy divorce, and I'm so happy about that. But Derek didn't want any of Becca's things when we tried figuring out who gets what. He left it all to me. I tried hard to get him to take something because I feel like he'll regret it, but he said he didn't want anything. So I have all of Becca's stuff. I have no idea why he didn't want anything, but I have it all in the guest bedroom right now. I'm trying to figure out what to do with everything. Derek is apparently an alcoholic now and quit his job. He seems to be doing terrible. Besides all that, IDK, if I have anything else to share. I just want to say thank you again to all of my supporters. I've made some friends on here, and I am so thankful for you all. I appreciate every one of you. Top comments. Commenter 1. Alyssa, I think of you often and check back periodically for an update. I'm so happy to hear that your trip went well. Equally exciting to hear that you've moved on with your life, have a new house and a dog. Cavaliers are so cute and sweet. Enjoy. Becca's things belong with to you. You will know how best to honor her. Wishing you the best life has to offer. Thank you so much for letting us know how you are doing. Commenter 2. I'm so happy you enjoyed Norway. I spent a summer there many moons ago when I was 17 years old. Lived with a host family in a tiny little town in the western fjords. It was amazing. I'm also glad to hear you are moving forward your life. You should definitely preserve Becca's things. I imagine Derek didn't want them. By CC, he intends to head down a path of self-destruction from which he may not come back. It's a shame he couldn't face his grief and find healthy ways to cope with the pain. If he had, he likely wouldn't have destroyed your marriage and played a part in the destruction of Sam. Last we heard from you, Derek was blaming you for Sam's death. Does he still blame you, or is he too drunk to care anymore? Hold Becca in your heart, and remember all the ways she was amazing. You may end up being the only one left to carry her memory into the future.